Yo, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. We got new cards coming out in Power of the Elements, some new Albaz support, new Melfi support confirmed. We're getting a new Synchro boss monster, and there's going to be some new sort of a god card over here, but not like Egyptian gods, but it's like a different, it's like a fire guard, I guess. And then a new card that turns apparently your Ice Jades into Grenmaj Da'iza. So let's kick it off with one of the cards that I think is really exciting called the Kurikara Tendu, which is actually going to be a form of a Buddhist god. So yeah, like I said, it's not Egyptian god support, but it's like a new, I guess, god card. I mean, obviously for the TCG, they're going to change it to like an avatar, right? But anyways, this is going to be a new card. So it is Kurikara Avatar of the Immovable. It is a fairy special summon effect, fire, level 1, 1500 attack, 1500 defense points, and it cannot be normal summoned or set. So it must be special summoned from your hand by attributing all face-up monsters on the field that activated an effect in any of your opponent's main monster zones this turn. Okay, that's a pretty insane effect considering if they just have everything that, like, you know, activates to gain some sort of stat boost or something. I mean, you contribute your opponent's entire board potentially. The other effect is you can only use the second effect of this card's name once per turn. So the first part is it gains 1500 attack for each monster attributed to special summon it. So, like, potentially you can get this thing, huge amounts of attack, you attribute all of your opponent's cards, and you just one-shot them because they activate all their effects. I mean, it is kind of conditional on what decks will use it, but, like, there's very few decks that aren't going to activate monster effects, right? So the second part of the effect is during your end phase, you can target one monster opponent's graveyard, special summon it to your field. So you tribute their stuff, and then you get to bring it back? That's an insane effect. I mean, obviously it has to be because it's a Buddhist, like a fire dragon god, I guess. Nonetheless, it's an insanely powerful card. Granted, you have to meet the conditions, and it's not a quick effect. So, like, it is really, really, really good, don't get me wrong, but I just think that for it to actually activate and actually one-shot your opponent, again, is going to be very conditional, because it's not a quick effect. If this card effect was a quick effect, like during your opponent's turn, they would just activate all their monster effects and you just attribute everything, and it's almost like a Nibiru, right? But then it gains an insane amount of stats, and then during your end phase, you're gonna bring something back. If there's only some way to special summon it via, like, your opponent's turn, because it's not a quick effect. I don't know, the card's got some potential though, for sure. We'll talk a little bit more about it maybe in the future when we see some gameplay. Next up though, we've got the Albaz Out of the Ashes for Easter. Okay, let's see what this is. So this is Albaz the Ashen. So it's level 4 Dark Dragon effect monster. Here is the artwork on this. We're obviously talking about the monster, not the trap here. Level 4 Dark Dragon, 1800 attack, 0 defense. Says you can only use the third effect of this card's name once per turn. The first part of it is this card's name is treated as Fallen of Albaz while on the field or in the graveyard. The second part of it says if there is a level 8 fusion monster in your graveyard, this card gains 200 attack for each monster in your graveyard. Ooh. Also, other monsters you control cannot be targeted by your opponent's effects. Third part of the effect is if a monster you control leaves the field due to your opponent's effect while this card and a fusion monster are in your graveyard, you can special summon this card. Well, that's actually not too bad, considering it's just any monster in your graveyard. So that leads huge potential, especially over on like Master Duel when they have triple grass. Like, I don't know, I think this has some potential, definitely. And the next up we have the trap card that is called the Branded Separation. Obviously that is the one on the right over here. And it says you can only activate one card with this card's name per turn. The first part of it says tribute one fusion monster, then target 2 monsters among either graveyard or that are banished except for fusion monsters. You're supposed to summon one of those monsters on each side of the field, or if you attribute a fusion monster that mentions Fallen of Albaz as material, you're supposed to summon both of those monsters to your field and face out defense position instead. Okay, because it's in defense position, it kind of ruins how good this card potentially could be, because obviously, yes, you could go attack with my monster, tribute the monster, get double monsters, swing for game. I just really wish it had that. I mean, it's still a trap card that night, so you have to set it and then you have to wait if you really want to. It's still pretty decent though, because they're going to get rid of the fusion monster anyways. Getting double monsters can still be a pretty nice little effect over there. Next up, I think this is a brand new archetype. This is the Tearalaments. Oh, that's a quality artwork over there. Space Isekai Beach episode. So it's a I don't know. Okay, let's just go to the facts. That's what I think you guys care about more than reading like the lore or whatever. So Tearalaments Miru over here. Here is the artwork on this card. It's on the left, obviously. Level 2 looks like it's a dark, 800 attack, 2000 defense points, dark aqua. So it says you can only use the first and second effect of this card's name each once per turn. The first part of the effect is if this card is normal or special summon, you get to send the top 3 cards of your deck to the graveyard. Okay. The second part is if this card is sent to the graveyard by by card effect, you can fusion summon one fusion monster from your extra deck by returning the fusion materials listed on it from your hand, field, and or graveyard to the bottom of the deck in any order, including this card in the graveyard. Oh, okay. Very interesting effect that, it's almost like a Light Sworn, right? You could just summon it and then you dump 3. Pretty cool stuff indeed. I don't know if people will make Tearalaments Light Sworn, but let's check out the rest. So next up we have the Tearalaments Haffinus over here. Dark Aqua effect, level 3, 1600 attack, 1000 defense points. It says you can only use the first and second effect of this card's name each once per turn. The first part of the effect is when your opponent activates a monster effect on the field as a quick effect, you can special summon this card from your hand. If you do, send the top 3 cards of your deck to the graveyard. The second part is if this card is sent to the graveyard by a card effect, you can fusion summon fusion monster from your extra deck by returning fusion materials listed on it from your hand, field, and or in the graveyard to the bottom of the deck in any order, including this card. Okay, so I see where this archetype's going. I hope we get some of their fusions too, their boss monsters. Next up we have Shaylin. This is another monster, Dark Aqua effect. It almost looks like Genshin Impact. Am I right? Like, if any of you guys play Genshin Impact, this is like one character from Genshin Impact. I don't know, maybe that's a collab in the future. Anyways, Shaylin is a Dark Aqua, 1800 attack, 1300 defense points, level 4. You can only use the first and second effect of this card's name each once per turn. So the first part of the effect is during your main phase, you can special summon this card from your hand. If you do, send one monster from your hand to the graveyard. Then send the top 3 cards of your deck to the graveyard. The second part is if this card is sent to the graveyard by card effect, you can fusion summon. Okay, I'm just gonna say fusion summon and then like including this card because I'm guessing all of them have the, like, kind of the same effect. So send to the graveyard, fusion by returning, and then you get to use this card and put it back. Next up though, Tearalaments Reno Heart here is a Water Warrior effect, level 4, 1500 attack, 2100 defense points, and it says you can only use the first and second effect of this card's name each once per turn. The first part of the effect is if this card is normal or special summon, you get to send one Tearalaments monster from your deck to the graveyard except for itself. And then second part is if this card is sent to the graveyard by card effect, you can special summon it but banish it when it leaves the field. And if you do, send one Tearalaments monster from your hand to the graveyard. So basically it's like a wolf. This is almost like a Light Sworn 2.0 right now. This is what it reminds me of. Next up, okay, we finally have their boss monster. So Tearalaments Kitkalos. Okay, so here's the artwork on this. Looks like it's level 5 fusion dark. 2300 attack at 1200 defense points. It says you can only use the first, second, and third effects of this card's name each once per turn. But the requirements are 1 Tearalaments monster plus 1 Aqua monster. So it says if this card is special summoned, you get to take 1 Tearalaments card from your deck and either add to your hand or send it to the graveyard. Second part is you can target 1 monster you control to special summon 1 Tearalaments monster from your hand or graveyard. And if you do, send the targeted monster to the graveyard. Third part is, if this card is sent to the graveyard by a card effect, you can send the top 5 cards of your deck to the graveyard. That's really big. That's like Needlebug Nest over there. Next up, though, we have Tearalaments Kaleido Heart. Here is the artwork on this boss monster. It looks like it's 3000 attack, 3000 defense points. Looks like it's another dark. But this time, it's going to be a Fiend, not an Aqua. So it's level 9. It requires Reno Heart plus 2 Aqua monsters. It cannot be used as fusion material. You can only use the first and second effect of this card's name each once per turn. So if this card is special summoned or if another Aqua monster is sent to your graveyard by a card effect while this card is on the field, you can target 1 card your opponent controls and shuffle it into the deck. That's actually a really good effect. The second part is, if this card is sent to the graveyard by a card effect, you can special summon it. If you do, summon 1 Tearalaments from your deck to the graveyard. Okay, pretty good effect. Indeed for that archetype. And next up we have Pellerino, the Primal Parallel Ruined Realm. So this is their field spell, and it says you can only activate 1 card with this card's name per turn. You can only use the third effect of this card's name once per turn. So the first card effect is when this card resolves, you get to add 1 Tearalaments monster or 1 Abyss Starfrost from your deck to your hand. Second part is fusion monsters and Tearalaments monsters you control gain 500 attack. Third part is if a Tearalaments monster is returned from your field and or graveyard to the deck and or extra deck, you can target 1 card on the field and destroy it. Okay, that kind of helps out because like what archetypes always need, and I always mention it, is like you need negate and destroy. Now it has a little bit of protection and you get to at least get rid of something else, right? Next up we have Tearalaments Metanoise, which is a normal trap card. It says you can only use 1 of the first and second effects of this card's name per turn, only once a turn. The first part of the effect is if you control Tearalaments monster or Vista Starfrost, you can target 1 face-up monster your opponent controls, change it to face-down defense position, then send 1 Tearalaments monster from your deck to the graveyard. Second part is if this card is sent to the graveyard by a card effect, you can target 1 Tearalaments monster in your graveyard and add it to your hand. Ooh, that's a really good. It's like a monster reincarnation for the archetype. I like it. Next up, we have the Tearalaments Salek over here. Here's the artwork. Looks like it's a continuous trap card. Says you can only use the first and second effects of this card's name each once per turn. The first part is if you control a Tearalaments monster or one of Starfrost, you can target one effect monster your opponent controls, negate its effects, then send one monster you control to the graveyard. Second part is if this card is sent to the graveyard by a card effect, you get to add one Tearalaments monster from your deck to your hand. Whoa, you have search from the entire graveyard and the deck? Oh wow, it's getting pretty good for the archetype so far. Next up though, we have the Tearalaments Crime or Climb. So here is a counter trap card, okay? So it says you can only use one of the first and second effect of this card's name per turn, only once that turn. The first part of the effect is when a spell / trap or monster effect is activated, when you control a Tearalaments monster or a Visa Starfrost, negate the activation, and if you do, shuffle the card into the deck. Then send one monster from your hand to the graveyard. The second part is if this card is sent to the graveyard by a card effect, you can target one of your banished Tearalaments monsters and add it to your hand. Okay, so the archetype is looking like okay. I do like the shuffle into the deck because that's just as good as destroy, if not better in a lot of circumstances. Nowadays with modern YuGioh, like a lot of times you can banish for this extra bonus effect or special one from the graveyard, but putting it back in the deck is definitely not bad at all. But it's looking like okay, I think we need more negations and disruptions. All right, next up though, we got the new Melfi support. I'm sure a lot of people are really excited about this. So first off, this is Melffy Wallaby, okay. So it's a Earth Beast effect, level 2, 0 attack, 400 defense points. And it says you can only use the first and second effect of this card's name each once per turn. The first part of the effect is opponent normals or special summons a monster, or if this card is targeted by an attack by an opponent's monster, you can return this card to the hand. Then you can special summon 2 Melfi monsters with different names from each other from your deck, except for a Melffy Wallaby. The second part is during your end phase, you can special summon this card from your hand. This is an insane effect. You're getting like double Melfi monsters? Okay. I mean, Melfi archetype isn't like the most powerful he does right now. It's just kind of more of a meme thing, but let's see if their new Synchro boss is going to help him out here. So next up, we have the Melfi Sealy over here. So here's the artwork on it. 300 attack, 100 defense points, level 2. Looks like it's going to be like a water. But this one's actually going to be a tuner, so it's going to help make the Synchro. So it's a level 2, 300, 100 water beast. You can only use the first and second effect of this card's name each once per turn. The first part of the effect is if a face-up beast monster or monsters you control other than Melfi Sealy was returned to the hand this turn, quick effect, you can special summon this card from your hand. Then immediately after this effect resolves, you can Synchro summon only using this card and Melfi monsters in your hand as material. Second part is during your end phase, if this card is in your graveyard, you can target one beast exceeds monster you control, attach this card to add material. Okay, so for the previous, I think it was what was it called, like Melfi Mommy, I think it was actually called. I just haven't seen people play it in a long time. But new Synchro monster, cheerful Melfis. It all comes really down to this. So this is level 4 Earth Beast Synchro effect. 1500 attack, 1000 defense points, 1 tuner plus 1 plus non-tuner monsters. It says you can only use the first and second effect of this card's name each once per turn. The first part of the effect is if this card is special summoned, you get to target one face-up monster on the field and return it to the hand. Decent. Second part is if your opponent normals or special summons a monster, or if this card is targeted for an attack by an opponent's monster, you return this card to the extra deck. Then you can special one Melfi Exceeds monster from your extra deck. Okay, that's actually pretty good for the archetype. Then you can go ahead and just go for something else. Next up, though, we have the Melfi Staring Contest, which is a continuous spell card. Here is the artwork. And it says you can only use the first effect of this card's name once per turn. So the first part of the effect is you can reveal one beast monster in your hand, add from your deck or graveyard to your hand one Melfi monster with a different name or a name different from the revealed monsters, and if you do, place the revealed monster on the bottom of the deck. The second part is at the start of your opponent's battle phase, you can activate this effect. Any number of Melfi monsters in your hand become revealed during this battle phase. Third part is monsters your opponent controls lose attack equal to the combined attack and defense of all monsters currently revealed by this card's second effect. I don't really know all their effects, like all their attack stats off the top of my head, but like they're pretty weak, let's be honest here. I don't know if that's gonna make it super strong, but like being able to like reveal your hand is very bad normally in YuGioh, but you gotta choose the amount. I don't know if I consider it like super OP for the Melfis, but we still got more cards. So this is the card that apparently turns your Ice Jades into like Grandma Judaiza is what they're saying over here. So let's check it out. So this is Ice Jade Creation, AGRO Cases. So I'm guessing that's the moderate level 7 Aqua Water Tuner. 2000 attack, 2000 defense points. Says you can only use the first and third effects of this card's name per turn, and only one of those turn. only one of those that turn. So the quick effect is, if this card is in your hand or in the graveyard, target one ice shade monster you control, you equip this card to that monster you control. Second part is the monster this card is equipped to gains 400 attack and defense for each banished monster. Okay, so that's like both players. That's pretty good. So like it's the base of the Grand Magic, yeah. The third effect is if the card is treated as an equip, you can spell summon this card. And it's got pretty decent stats too, just in case like you don't have enough. I like it. There's a quick effect as well. And the next up, we have the branded Central Dogmatica, so more Dogmatica support. That's the continuous card on the right. These are, again, coming out of Power of the Elements. So it says you can only use the first and second effects of this card's name once per turn. If you spell summon exactly one ritual monster with the effect of a spell card, you can look at either extra deck, send one monster from there to the grave. That's a good effect. The second part is, if you spell summon exactly one fusion monster with the effect of a spell card, you can target that monster until the end of the turn. That monster gains attack equal to its original attack, but it cannot attack except to attack attackers monsters your opponent controls. Okay, I like this effect, and I think like this has always been the effect that people really want. I mean, looking at either player's extra deck and just be like, no, you can't have this card, especially if you can only play one copy of a card. That can absolutely obliterate someone. But that's going to be wrapping up for the new Yu-Gi-Oh cards. Let me know, guys, what you think of them down below in the comment section below. But if you guys enjoyed the video, drop a like on it. If you're new here, hit subscribe, turn on the bell so you don't miss out on more new Yu-Gi-Oh cards in the future. Take care, and I'll see you guys in the next video. I'm out. Peace.